We are joined by Dr. Asanka Wijesinghe, who is going to help us understand the situation a little bit more regarding how Pakistan has accelerated the humanitarian assistance to Sri Lanka following the widespread devastation which has been caused by Cyclone Ditwah, responding to a formal appeal made by the Sri Lankan government. First and foremost, Dr. Asanka, thank you so much for speaking to Pakistan TV on this matter. Let's dive right in. How is Sri Lanka coping on the ground right now? And what are the most urgent needs of the communities that are most affected by the floods?
Yes, actually, all the river basins overflowed. So this is kind of a new experience for Sri Lanka. It is different from the previous floods. Right now, all the major rivers have withdrawn the flood warnings. That means water has gone down to the normal level. So people are coming back to their houses and cleaning. Those things are happening. In the upcountry, rescue missions are still ongoing because there are a lot of landslides. Some villages are buried under the rubbles. So that is what that's the ground situation right now. And the government agencies and the infrastructure agencies, mainly Ceylon Electricity Board and Water Drainage Board, they are working on resuming water and electricity. And most of the part, these things are done now.
Absolutely. Let's dive right into the element of how Pakistan is supporting the broader spirit of the regional compassion that has emerged, especially in moments like these. Countries often rely on one another. What forms of cooperation and assistance from Pakistan would be most meaningful for Sri Lanka at the moment?
Pakistan is helping in all of these activities. Right now, all of the agencies, World Bank and everyone are in stock-taking exercise to assess the economic damage of this crisis. Then the reconstruction will be planned. I think in that process, all of the development partners of Sri Lanka, including Pakistan, will be able to assist more. Yeah.
Absolutely, Dr. Asanka. You know, South Asian nations have frequently faced climate-induced disasters. In your view, how can Pakistan and Sri Lanka work together to share the expertise and technology to better mitigate these challenges?
Yeah, I think that might be the most important thing we can do in the long term because disasters like this, cyclones, I don't think these are like very rare occurrences in future. With the climate change, we should expect this kind of things. And one important thing is early warning systems. So we need to develop early warning systems and effectively communicating these things to the vulnerable communities. And the Pakistan and Sri Lanka might be able to share the expertise in these areas. And we have some vulnerable areas. People have built their houses, so some relocation might be needed in future. Pakistan is also a country experiencing this kind of floods, so their experience might be valuable for Sri Lanka.
Absolutely, Dr. Asanka. Let's talk about how you assess the role of the regional platforms in enabling faster and more coordinated, disaster responses. And where do you feel that countries like Pakistan can contribute more effectively to these efforts?
Yes, regionally, in this crisis, actually, Sri Lanka is getting help from individual countries, from India, Pakistan, even our small neighbors like Nepal, Maldives, they were doing great work helping Sri Lanka. Unfortunately, we don't have a regional cooperation body right now. I mean, we have SAC, but it's not that effective. Maybe we should think about reviving this and as a region to respond to this kind of crisis in future.
Dr. Asanka, I want to talk a little bit about the long-term efforts in terms of the priorities of Sri Lanka, which Sri Lanka is primarily focusing on, and how friendly countries can support the rebuilding of these efforts.
Yes, I think one major issue will be building and repairing all the road network and railway line in the upcountry. So that will take some time, and that will also consume a lot of resources of Sri Lanka. Right now, we see different figures, but nothing is solidly estimated. But it can be expected that the economic damage can be about 3% of the GDP. That means about 2, 3, or more than that USD billion loss. So in the long run, Sri Lanka will have to rebuild this infrastructure and, as I said, plan this disaster mitigation measures, relocate vulnerable communities in the upcountry.
Absolutely. I want to switch it over to the lessons. Specifically, what lessons do you believe that both Pakistan and Sri Lanka can learn from these climate-driven incidents?
Yes, I think one weakness we are seeing in this experience of Sri Lanka, I think there was no some scenario analysis, like when to communicate the disaster warnings. When cyclone is a new experience for Sri Lanka, so, and cyclones are generally named when it achieved some level of speed, but early signs prevail, like depression and those things. Maybe a scientific expert sharing between the two countries when the governing institutes should mobilize the resources, when the vulnerable communities should be informed. I think that those are the best things we can do to minimize the disaster in the future crisis.
Absolutely, those were the lessons, but what challenges are your team basically facing in reaching the remote and heavily impacted areas? And how do you see the regional partners, including Pakistan, helping to access those hard-to-reach communities?
Yeah, one thing happened with the flood rise and the uh, severe flooding and landslides. We could not communicate with anyone in the locked up areas, especially in upland, upcountry. And the immediate step Sri Lanka is looking for is reconnecting with these vulnerable and much affected communities, building the road network. Uh, Now, I think communication towers are functioning, but we need to learn a strategy to avoid this happening again. When there is a crisis, communication is very important. What we can do, maybe Pakistan has some experience in that. Now we have this Starlink kind of satellite-based communication methods. So we need to make sure that these things are available in the vulnerable areas, especially with areas prone to be locked out in a crisis like this.
Absolutely. So lessons and challenges have been discussed, but let's talk a little bit about the adaptations of how important it is that, climate adaptation and adequate funding for countries like Sri Lanka, and primarily how can partners such as Pakistan support the global advocacy for fair climate financing?
Yes, it is very important. What we are seeing is a lot of advice from these institutes repurpose money, but Sri Lanka is in the IMF program, and we have some restrictions to spend money, like maintaining the primary surplus. Uh, then it can significantly restrict Sri Lanka's ability to respond to this kind of. then climate financing is very important. And as a global south, we should team up together and seek for the opportunities available and make sure countries are financially, countries have financial shock absorbers in this kind of situation.
Absolutely. Dr. Asanka, I want to refer to the gap between the pledged funds and the actual disbursements.
Well, right now we have seen some multilateral institutes have started giving grants, but my guess is those might not be enough to respond to this crisis. As I said, the actual damage is not estimated yet, but if it is like 3-4 billion USD, these pledged grants are not going to help enough. So Sri Lanka will have to find alternative methods. So domestically, we have this some budget ceilings because we are under IMF program. So Sri Lanka will have to think about redefining Sri Lanka's budget goals for 2026.
Absolutely. Just one last thing regarding this situation. I want to discuss the importance of concessional financing for Sri Lanka as it is going to be recovering from this major flood, and what specific barriers does the country face in accessing these funds effectively?
Well, Sri Lanka is a middle-income country, and if we assume that Sri Lanka will get like 5-6% GDP growth in a year, actually Sri Lanka can be upper middle-income country. Then for that kind of country, so this concessional financing is not available. So that's a problem. But ADB, Asian Development Bank, and there are some financing lines right now. They have been mobilized, and yesterday also it was announced. But again, given the scale of the damage, those might
that
not
is a
be.
lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for speaking to Pakistan TV on this very pertinent matter. Dr. Asanka Wijesinghe, Research Fellow at the Institute of Policy Studies of Sri Lanka.